Hello friends, welcome to everyone. My name is Manoj Agarwal. I'm the group editor at Banking Frontiers magazine. Today we are
Hello.
hosting a panel discussion on a very interesting topic, simplifying complete security. All three words in this title are very important, simplifying, complete and security. And to put all these three together, I have a very eminent panel of IT heads and CISOs, information security heads from cooperative banks. Welcome everyone to this panel discussion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I request you to briefly, one by one, introduce yourself. Let me start with Atul Nayak.
Hello, very good afternoon, everybody. I am Atul Naik. I am having my IT background, and I have worked in. Currently, I am working as a CISO of Jagav Janta Sarkari Bank, and I am having a little bit experience from IS audit also. That's about it.
Interesting. Thank you, Atul.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I am Badrinath Kilambi. At present, I am IT head of AP Mahesh Bank, Hyderabad. Earlier to it, I was working as Chief Technology Officer with Syndicate Bank. And for some time, I worked with ISAF Small Finance Bank also prior to my present appointment. I have been with this bank for the last 3 years.
Fantastic.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Satish Lele here. I am CISO of Cosmos Bank. I have done a couple of certifications like CISA, ISO 27K Lead Auditor, PMP, and various certifications in Microsoft and Novell before. So this is just a brief introduction about myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I am Santosh Mohile, Head IT at SVC Cooperative Bank. I come with a background of about 27 years in IT, including purely IT from OEMs as well as IT in banking. So that's from my side.
So both sides of the coin. Fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tariq Ansari. I lead the solution architect team at Palo Alto Networks. I have 20 years and more experience with respect to application, data center, and security. Extremely honored to be here, part of this this panel. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome, Tariq.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rohit Singh, CISO of Sri Aryan Cooperative Bank Limited. I have my background is from I've started my career from information security domain itself. I've been experienced in last 12 years. I'm working with Sri Aryan Cooperative Bank. I got from a network security officer to be journey to CISO, and that also.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon all. This is Samir Kadve, CISO TJSB Bank. Previously, I was associated with a few nationalized bank as well as cooperative sector banks. A few years I had done some consultancy, work for in terms of IS audit as well as security consultancy. So far, I am holding CISO position at TJSB, based out of Thane. Thank you.
So I think apart from the variety that you represent yourselves, you all guys all bring a lot of variety yourself in your past experiences in different roles in different kinds of organizations. So I think that breadth will also be helpful in this discussion. My first question is this, there's a huge variety of technology solutions, VPNs, firewalls, SOC, SIEM. You can create so many three-letter word combinations, and many of them will result in some kind of security or technology jargon. But with so much variety, do you have specialists in all these areas or all the relevant areas in your organization, either as an in-house employee or as an outsourced employee? And developing these individual specializations, is that the way to go? Or is there a broader path where you can combine multiple specializations or different ways of looking at those set of skills? So this is more of a people-oriented question that we're starting with.
Yeah, so what you said is very correct. When actually I would say when two CISOs are talking, they can completely talk in jargons, and the third person listening would need a decryptor to understand what they are talking. So it is full of jargons. And as you said, there are so many technologies which are in security area, and these are completely evolving. Every day there is some new threat vector which is coming and new technology coming after that. So as you said rightly, we have to implement those security framework considering our applications, our people, our devices, and our perimeters. And a comprehensive approach will help us. Now you said there could be verticals where you require specialized knowledge, which is a must-have. To a larger extent, we depend upon the OEM who supplies those technologies. But there will be a horizontal layer where you can put in people who understand the technology and can support the day-to-day operations, the monitoring, the alerting part of it. It is really difficult to get good skills in the market as of now today. Those skills are rare, but you have to have a vertical back-to-back process with your OEMs and automation to some extent where you can do manual, reduce the manual work and generate alerts or get those data and make your decisions quickly, because it is very important to act upon the threats. So that is where your model of response should be there, where you can have a horizontal and vertical kind of a model. Okay. We can take views of other CISOs also who have been doing in their organizations. This was my view on this, and a practical approach, because there are really a dearth of skills available in security.
I totally agree with Santosh sir on that part, because certain things to be can be done in-house where you can train your employees, but certain things you have to go for outsource. For example, if you talk about on the CISO side or cyber side, we must have to go for SOC, right? Everybody has to go for SOC. So in that scenario, if you try to build SOC in-house, it will be a very difficult task, because you're not going to be able to update the latest threat what's going in the market. So definitely when it's come on the SOC or certain services where you have to think about to going outsource, where you have to go, hire those services for your bank or for your company, where you get benefited out of that, their latest technology and their latest services. So I feel this is vice versa. 50% things you can try to do it in-house where you can train your employee, and 50% you have to definitely go for outsource. You cannot have 100% in-house talent who can manage your cybersecurity things, because some certain things are like where you need a knowledge or keep on updating yourself. Then only you're able to track those things or handle those things. So,
okay, great. Thanks, Rohit. Atul, if I may come to you with a follow-up question. Is it easy to figure out which 50% to outsource and which 50% to keep in-house? Or is that also a little complicated?
No. It is not that complicated, in the sense that you certainly know what type of skill sets you have with the people that you have in your organization. So to start with, most of the organizations do have network. So you can take out 1 or 2 people from the network team and get them trained in security. That would be the logical way to build up an IT security team per se. Because of this RBI guidelines, which came in the year 2019, 31st December, and prior to that, most of the organizations were forced to implement the guidelines in one way or other. I'm saying forced. It was not done voluntarily. That's what I am trying to say. It is because of the fact that they were having IT departments, but having IT security department per se and appointing someone as CISO, that was something that many organizations had not thought about. They had not given a thought to this type of things. But now, with they have felt that these things are specialized things, and these things cannot be handled by the normal people or normal IT staff. So they are trying to bring in some people and train them and get the things implemented in the way it is expected to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, that is how.
Wonderful. Do you think certain things the bank should plan long term to develop its HR skills in light of all the kinds of threats that are currently coming, that might be coming in the future? Is it better to be proactive or is it better to be reactive? What is your experience?
As per my experience, you are right in saying that we need to be proactive, basically. That would be the right strategy in the long term. So if we really want to think about it, what are the technologies that I am having right now? And what are the technologies that I may deploy in the near future? That's what the defining baseline that we need to plan for it. And based on that, what are the skill sets that are relevant to those technologies that I should have in my team? So we need to develop the internal team, what we have right now, develop their skills, continuously updating their skills is one of the things that we should be focusing on. But another thing is also that in the long term also we should think what are the skill set that I should have and I need to build the team in that direction also. So we need to have the proactiveness that is required, and sometimes it is appropriate to outsource certain things to the external vendor because there are certain things which are immediate in nature. So we need to have reactive also in some cases where we don't have any immediate skills available. So for example, let me give you an example about forensics. If something untoward happens, then we deploy the forensic expert, which we may not have internal to our organization, but we can immediately deploy from external vendor, get the job done, and get it going. So these are the things that so we need to think in both ways. That is proactive, so short term and long term also.
If I may come to Tariq and ask on the same question, what kind of skills do IT companies like yours bring very easily to the table? And what kind of companies do you really think that banks should develop in-house? What kind of skills they should develop?
Yeah, sure, Manoj. So my belief is that we need to have an ecosystem in place, right? While there could be core expertise banks should develop in-house, but at the same time, the bank has to leverage the larger ecosystem, which is available to help them mitigate and overcome some of the security challenges what they face in a day-to-day basis, right?
Okay.
And if I have to double-click a couple of them, orchestration and automation has to be on top of the list for all the banks at this point in time. Because if I club all these 2-3 questions which you asked just now, right? What we've seen is every bank has 20 to 30 different security solutions. Okay. All these security solutions are coming from different vendors, different OEMs, different companies altogether, right?
Yes.
In order to manage and maintain the skill sets within the organization is very difficult, right? And then on top of that, if you want to move on to the next step, which is how to leverage these technologies in a better way, how do you achieve better outcome from these technologies? You have to have integration in place, you have to have orchestration in place, you have to have automation in place, right? Without these 3-4 things, right, available as a native building block, you will not able to leverage technologies. Now, what do you mean by enhancing security? Enhancing security to me is very simple. I want to reduce my MTTD, mean time to detect, and mean time to respond. I want to make my SOC more efficient, right? And what I want to do is I want my SOC to really hunt for threats in my environment rather than responding to day-to-day operations and so on and so forth and all those things. If you see currently, and this is my experience, I'm sure the other CISOs can add their inputs as well. I am seeing 90% of our security team is responding to alerts and incidents. Very few banks, right? Very few banks are actually working proactively to hunt threats in their environment, and that's a bigger challenge. Not only with cooperative banks, but even with the larger banks, I am seeing this issue all across.
One is the point that Tariq just mentioned last about being proactive in hunting versus reacting to threats. Do you really have to put 3, 4, 5 different experts on the job to figure out what the problem is? Or is it usually evident that this is a network, the solution lies in the firewall or the WAF or the SOC or somewhere else? What is your experience?
So to be very honest, when it comes to any security issue or rather any problem, it's a basically collective efforts, I would say, because at the beginning, everyone, if the incident is not that familiar, not known to, or not happened in the recent past, the multiple teams, including, as you rightly said, network team, it can be an infra team, there could be an application team. Those give their contribution in terms of basically connecting the dots. So to identify the root cause of any problem or any incident, there could be a proper root cause analysis which plays a critical role, wherein the involvement from multiple teams are actively involved. So it can be either the organization's internal team, or there could be a vendor side team who would be working on in terms of managed services giving to that particular organization. So yes, definitely the active participation from various domains it plays a critical role for in resolving the issue.
Mr. Badrinath, if I may come to you. So we have these, we try to divide instead of looking at all the different technologies. We try to look at 4 or 5 major technologies, and kind of we identified threat intelligence, automation, analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. These 5 as potentially pillars for an entire simplified cybersecurity approach. Now, among these 5 pillars, is there something that is of really relevance and interest in the immediate future? How would you classify these pillars in terms of leveraging them? AI, analytics, automation, machine learning, threat intelligence, to simplify overall security and not make it too many layers and too many technologies.
As you said, there are 5 pillars of the security apparatus. So all the 5 pillars are very important, extremely important. We cannot single out this is important, this is not important.
Okay.
But it depends on the perception of the person handling it and how he goes about it. All are important. I cannot ignore any of them. If you ask out of these 5 most important, equally important items, if I have to put first one, I feel threat intelligence is the starting point. Threat intelligence means not only what is happening around the world, what are the probable risks my infrastructure is facing, what are the probable ways that outside environment may affect. Suppose tomorrow some threat is there, some risk factor will come up. Whether our infrastructure can respond to it, or I have to add anything. So this kind of threat intelligence is most important, I believe. That should be the starting point. Unless I am very aware, then rest of the things will not follow. Rest of the things, although they are very important, threat intelligence is most important, and we should keep an eye on the happenings around us, because they are very dynamic now. Even threats or risks they are very dynamic. Tomorrow, what is going to come, we cannot expect. And most of our actions are reaction oriented in this thing.
Okay.
So that is the first thing. Then this ML and AI, they are of interest because they will hold the future. When technology is going to adopt these 2 things, even threats also will adopt the same thing, and even our reaction also will have to depend on that. So that is for future study. We cannot miss out these 2.
Okay.
Then automation is something that it needs a deeper study, and there should not be any slippages. Whatever automation that we are planning and we are going to deploy, it should meet the purpose for which I am going for the automation. And manually handling many things will not be the order. Automation will have to adapt, but there should be careful study in deploying automation. That's my.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Do you see it making sense to organize teams, to organize the IT security team along these 5 main core areas? And by doing so, what kind of benefit can one expect?
Yeah, this is a very good question. I think that we need to organize our teams along these 5 main domains what we have just mentioned, mainly threat intelligence, then automation, analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So if we go one by one quickly, the threat intelligence, when we mention about that one, it will help us to understand what are the threats that we have or which we may have in the near future. So what will happen? It will help us to prepare, prevent, identify the cyber threats. So, and also we can take the necessary action to mitigate the risks which are arising out of it. So that is the benefit that what we can have in threat intelligence. And within threat intelligence, there are various types, like say, for example, strategic, technical, operational, and tactical. So when you say strategic intelligence, it is at a very high level. Basically, it may have impact at a larger scale. So that is what we. For example, if it is a financial impact of cyber activities or cyber security posture of any country, also that will be having a very high impact. Then the second one, what we are talking about, the technical threat intelligence. So when we say technical threat intelligence, the classic example is of our IOCs, basically indicators of compromise. This is just a small example of technical threat intelligence that we normally get from, say, 13 or various other threat intelligence that we have, even from the vendors also. The third part is about the operational threat intelligence. So when you say operational threat intelligence, there is an actionable intelligence that is on our way, that is an incoming. So we know that this is what it is going to happen and we need to take care of that one. And the last part is about tactical. It is normally used in military field commanders. That is tactical intelligence. That is what normally it is used. Then the next part is about, we were talking about automation. When we talk about automation, basically it is a creation and application of technologies to produce and deliver goods and services with minimum human intervention. So why we need automation in first place? The main benefits of automation is higher productivity. We are having reliability, availability is also there, increased performance, reduce operating cost, then higher accuracy, and with reduction of human errors. That are the benefits of automation. Okay, so that is what we talk about automation. The next part is about analytics. Analytics is nothing but we are having systematic computational analysis of data or statistics. We can take an example of analytics. Okay, so for example, if you take a firewall logs, if you take one statement of firewall log, it is a huge, there are a lot of data is there in the firewall logs. But what is main into that one? If you want to read it, you need to capture the source IP, destination IP, what action it will, what action it has taken. So these are the main field that we need to capture. That is what analytics tool will do. It will just pick up the main fields out of that whole log file, and that is what analytics are, and you can take actionable on that one. You can take action based on those particular fields. That is what analytics is all about. Then the next part is about machine learning. This is another method of data analysis where it automates the analytical model building. And machine learning, it is a part of artificial intelligence. So, and also the chatbot. Chatbot is another example of that one. So these are the, all the 5 domains are very important. And if you can build the team around that one, definitely it will give the tremendous benefits as far as security is concerned.
Okay, that's great, Satish. If I may ask Tariq to give the other side of the coin picture, this is from the bank's perspective. But for an IT company, what do these 5 pillars mean? And are they really important, or for an IT company is just deep down specialization into something?
Yeah, sure, Manoj. So my experience so far is that orchestration and automation is the most, I would say, important thing for most of the large organization, ITS organization, banking organization, and so on and so forth, right? And what we are seeing is these 5 technologies which you just mentioned: artificial intelligence, machine learning, threat hunting, threat intel, and so on and so forth. They go hand in hand. And I agree to Mr. Badrinath, who mentioned earlier, that all these 5 are important, right? And no organization can get away by saying that, okay, I will only handpick 3 and I will drop these 2 and stuff like that and all those things.
Okay.
So they have to adopt to these 5, 6 things over a period of time. What we have seen, what we have experienced is when it comes to automation, most of the banks would like to get away with human dependency. And while we are working with automation project for some of the large banks and some of the large ITS organization, we have helped them automate 100% of L1 security analyst job. Okay. So whatever security analyst does, L1 I'm talking about, on a day-to-day basis, which is more to do with reading the logs, doing the correlation, doing the triage, all those things, all those repetitive tasks, day-to-day tasks can be automated. We have done it with multiple banks. We have done it a couple of the large ITS organization. Maybe for the banks, I cannot take names, but we have a public case study for Infosys, such a large organization, right? Where we have done 100% automation of these L1 task, right? Which is helping bank to redeploy the same human force, the same security force to proactive things such as hunting, such as doing security exercise, red team, blue team, and so on and so forth, and all those things, right? If you look at today, most of the organizations are reactive. They're responding to threats, right? They are busy with operational activities. Every day there is IOCs which needs to be updated, downloaded and updated into security tools, right? Firewalls, proxy, IPS, stuff like that, and all those things. Log4j is a very recent example, right? And this will keep on happening. Every day there will be a new vulnerability, new threat, and then all the security devices needs to be updated. This task is done by humans at this point in time, right? Can we automate that? Absolutely, you can automate that. So that's the way forward. That's the way banks are moving towards, and they are investing more and more in orchestration and automation, and then they are redeploying the same human force, the security team, to do more proactive stuff.
Great, thank you so much, Tariq. Taking this point about what kind of questions the board asks, if I may come to Santosh and ask him, what kind of questions are the board members asking you and your teams, and what kind of simplification do they want, so that they can understand it at their level and take a wise decision rather than just take a technical decision in the interest of the bank and all its stakeholders?
Yeah, sure. So board members play a very significant role in security. And as was mentioned about the cyber security framework for UCBs, graded approach, it has been prescribed that the board will have the entire responsibility of oversight and governance. And there are more detailed roles and responsibilities defined for the board members. So they play a very, very significant role. And then there are collaboration or strategic steering committees which have been formed at a board level, maybe like IT committee or a security information security committee, where various updates goes to board on a regular basis. And in these updates, what is expected, see, we cannot talk in technical jargons or anything like that with the board members. They are more concerned about the risks which are arising out of those threats, or in this space, what is happening. Those are more on the strategic decisions. What are the processes we are following? What is the roadmap we are having? And what are the risks that currently we have, and how are we going to mitigate those? What are the provisions which we have made? And on those basis, there will be questions from the board members, and they are very well educated into this cybersecurity area because they are also attending various forums. They have got trainings prescribed by RBI. Some of the board members have to undergo mandatory trainings for cybersecurity. So their questions are very relevant to this area. They are not generally very general questions. They might ask you very specific questions as well. And any incidents which have happened in past or in any other banks or something which has happened across the globe, they may also want to know our readiness, or if certain situations happen, what are the steps we would be taking. So it is more of a strategic decision where they want them to be kept updated, and what is our crisis management plan, or how do we react to certain situations which happen. So all these things get discussed at the board level with the management.
So as I understand, your role then is to translate many of these things into risks.
Absolutely.
Convert it into
what are the threats and risks arising out of these various situations, and what are the mitigations, and what are the strategies which we will be following up. And we take guidance from them, directions from them, and some items are for informational purpose only. So they have very deep involvement into what is happening in the bank, where we are, what is our overall posture into security, and we keep them updated on a monthly basis. So that is a very good sign that board members are involved into all these security aspects.
Interesting. I want to come to Rohit. And Rohit, this is perhaps a peculiar question. I think you are the youngest person in this group here. So when you attend a board meeting, does the fact that you are maybe younger than average CISO in a bank, does that make a difference at all? And if it makes a difference, what are the positive sides of the difference? What are the negative sides of the difference?
It's all about one board. So as I said, there's the difficulties when we try to convince the management on cyber side, cyber security side, because now it is much easier because RBI itself taken an initiative, okay, to train to the directors, starting training to the directors, mandatory trainings as said by Santosh sir. And being youngest CISO in my office, it's definitely it's a huge task because the management always expect that you should be up to date with the latest technology which is there in the market. So I have to keep on study or keep on training myself on cyber security domain, and that is the only way to go further on this particular era on cyber security. And we have just want to inform you to the team that we have recently started dedicated team for information security, as well as we have started not only limited ourselves to the A-graded approach, we tried to implement all those solutions which is even mandatory for a 4 bank or level 3 bank also. We're just not limiting ourselves to that the things which are applicable to the bank, because we do know that in the nearby future we might be the grade will be changed to level 3 or level 4 or certain other things. So we are not limiting ourselves to the level 3 bank, but we are trying to go on implementing things which is mandatory for level 4. And we have made a very clear plan to the management that we are not going to limit ourselves with the graded approach. And we are also giving management monthly updates on the risk, what are the risks actually there in the system and how we are going to mitigate those risks. And we have formed a particular committee which actually take care of all those things, and that particular committee report to the board what is the status of cyber security of the bank, what is the posture of cyber security in the bank, and what are the things are in pipeline or which need to be implemented.
That's interesting. Samir, if I may come to you with a point that Tariq mentioned about orchestration and automation. The question is this, that technical decisions are probably kind of relatively easier to take. But how do you decide how to improve efficiency? Because it's not a 1:1 solution or 1:2 solution. You do these two things and your security goes up. Whether it's efficiency of dealing with vendors, whether it's efficiency of having X number of people, whether it is the efficiency of whom to train and what, all these sound like very subjective things. So you as an individual, as a manager, and then your organization as such, what is their expectations in terms of improving efficiency, so that whatever the budget, let's say Rohit mentioned, that every organization allocates for cybersecurity can be used, the outcome can be maximized through efficiency, whether it's automation or orchestration or whatever you do. If you can throw some light on that.
So in terms of training requirements, in security, there could be a combination of two teams, I would say, within the same department. So there are certain set of people who are required to be specialized in their particular domain, whereas other set of people can be a jack of all trades, what I would say master of none, but they should be having adequate knowledge of multiple domains. So for the high level directions, this set 2 would be guiding those specialized people to go into in-depth analysis of the it can be a certain product or solution, it can be certain new project in terms of implementation and all. So accordingly we will have to take a call whom should be having what type of knowledge or skill sets, and how to motivate them for upgradation. As Rohit rightly said, that every day there is something new coming into upgrade yourself or sharpen your existing skills, and to keep a pace with the with the attackers, I would say, because still today we are following the reactive approach rather than, yes, it is a need of an hour to go for proactive, but see, when there is a theft, then only there should be an investigation rather than, or these all these controls, I would say, solutions are the reactive outcome of the incidents which had happened in the past, just to safeguard ourselves. So in terms of training, yes, that could be the approach that should be followed. In terms of conveying it to the management, nowadays it has become much simpler as compared to past few years, especially after the post pandemic. So right when people are now familiar with the all digital platforms and all. See, SIM, SOC, WAF, firewalls, payment, all. There are no more jargons for senior management also nowadays. They are quite familiar with all these terms. Even Santosh said it's now RBI has also mandated the training or adequate knowledge about cyber because they are the ultimate stakeholders. They are the owners, risk owners in terms of not only from business but from the cyber risk also. So they now, have that what how sensitive it is in terms of and the number of incidents increasing drastically past few years. Even they have become more and more, serious about overall cybersecurity. So awareness, if they are adequately aware about the overall cyber risk or the cyber posture of their particular organization, the job of CISO becomes much more easier to, get those projects approved by the board and all. So
But do they
yes.
come to you asking you to do more with the money that has been allocated to optimize
So
security
what happens,
budget?
because any top management, they understand numbers. So if I map the cyber risk along with the the number which they are familiar with, I would say it's just a simple example. The cost we are paying or the premium amount we are spending on the cyber insurance policy vis-a-vis the cyber security solutions, in comparison, the outcome, the probable incident which can take place due to absence of certain security lapses, that could be one of the effective approach I feel that could be used for conveying the severity of the that particular requirement becomes much more simpler for them. So just to make it, these simple formulas, keep it simple and straightforward.
Mr. Kalambi, if I may request you to give one or two examples, or anyone, in fact, can give one example about how they are making things, the whole cybersecurity setup, more efficient, whether it is people or technologies or something else, or insurance. Anyone, any examples to add to what Samir just said?
Whatever RBI has given graded approach, it has given very good starting point for all the banks, for most of the banks in the cooperative sector. In public sector banks, earlier itself, all these things have been implemented. This has given a good direction, and checking whether we are on or off of all the directions, it will give a very good starting point, because this time they have simplified and the direction is straightforward. So based on that, depending on our IT infrastructure and the way we have deployed our IT resources, we can definitely plan a much better way now. And added to that, my earlier speakers have already told, nowadays awareness at board level is very high because of the RBI intervention. RBI took a lot of good pains to impart a lot of good trainings to the board members. And because of so many directions, the board members are aware of the cyber risk, and any kind of proposal that we put forth, that there will be good cooperation from the board. That is a welcome this change. And second thing is, like, data is the same for State Bank of India or for a small cooperative banks. Data and infrastructure is the same, but the kind of security appliance deployment that can happen in a very big bank, A small bank cannot afford it. In that case, an entire budget from the bank has to be deployed, directed towards this. So with our limited resources, how best we can choose and pick up the appliances, that is to be planned. And in many areas, in anywhere, good solution is following the good practices. So by following the good practices and ideal practices and recommended practices, we can prevent so many threats. That's my view.
That makes sense. Satish, if I may come to you and ask you, you are perhaps the largest bank in this group here, and then presumably your IT budget and your IT security budget is also the largest. But give us examples that how do you optimize, whether orchestration or something else, to squeeze the most out of this enormously demanding security issue, so that you can tackle as much as possible in as manageable resources as possible.
Yeah. Regarding that one, previously our main focus was about RBI cybersecurity framework, which was released in 2019. And I'm sure a lot of cooperative banks were focusing on compliance perspective. That was the focus at that time.
Right.
But now our focus is changed now. We are now near to the complete compliance of almost all those controls. Okay. Cybersecurity controls. Now our focus is changed. Now our focus is how I can fine tune those things what I have already right now. Okay, let me give an example. Like say I have the SOC use cases right now. How I can fine tune that one? There is always a scope of improvement that I always believe in that one. So how I can improve that one first. Let me give you an example. Another example. Recently we have done source code audit, which we have never thought of before. Now we are talking about source code audit of our internal applications, also critical internal applications. We have done that. And there is a best practices document also that we have prepared out of it. That is the advantage. So how we can develop our own critical applications and secure by design. That is the basic principle that we have now conveyed now. The secure by design, like that kind of a principle. And another important thing is security awareness among all our employees, that has improved significantly. Now the kind of communication that we get even from our employees itself, the kind of the email that we get from themselves itself, that shows that they are even more aware about those things. Another important thing is, like say for example, firewall audit. Now in firewall audit also we are improving day by day. What are the rules? How it should be? The rules should be written. Are the rules are really required or not? If they are not required, we should go and delete those rules, so that we are securing more, because there is no point in keeping the open ports now, right? I'm just giving an example. There is another one thing is, recently RBI has shared some cyber hygiene documents. So these are the best practices. Now RBI is also increasing their expectations from cooperative banks, and I'm sure from commercial banks also. So they are now shared a cyber hygiene document now. So what does it mean? This is the best practices, though they are now leveling up their own expectations also, which will help us to improve ourselves, our own security also. So that, and also the kind of awareness that our board of directors is having, that is also improving day by day, because we are keeping them updated. There is a mandate on us to give the quarterly updates on them, and even in addition to that, we give monthly updates to our board of directors and annual awareness training for board of directors and of course all the employees. So this in totality, I will say what we are doing is we are improving what we have right now, and there are certain area of improvement that we are focusing now. Now basic steps are over. Now we need to up our limit now, and we need to focus on. That's how we are working. And of course now the way we are speaking with our vendor, that is also changed now, because initially the way we were talking with the vendor, now we are talking about optimization from the vendor. Our expectation from vendors also are increased now. Okay, so we say that this is what we have delivered. Now what else that you can deliver, what else that you can give the value add to us? That is the next question what we are asking to the vendors also. And our board of directors also asking us what else new things are you are doing now to improve our own security. So these are the things that are happening, and I take it as a positive thing. That's how it is.
It is. Tariq, to say, take the same question that Satish, the same point that Satish mentioned in the end, and asking the vendors how things can be optimized. So what is your experience? What kind of things should the vendor optimize? What kind of things should the bank optimize internally? Is that line clear cut, or is there a lot of overlap between the two?
So if you look at cyber security, right, there are three key pillars to cyber security: people, process, and technology.
Okay.
Right. Now, when it comes to people, you need to have the right resource, competent resource, and skilled resource, right, within your team. That's point number one. And then at the same time, you also need to have awareness program running in within your team to make sure that you're up to date with the technologies and so on and so forth and all this. So that's the people piece of the whole thing. Then comes the process, right? So as Satish sir was mentioning, there are governance framework, there are best practices, there are IT audits, and so on and so forth, which basically help us to ensure that we align to the right process, right? The third piece, which is a larger piece, is the technology, where the OEM like us plays an important role, right? But saying said, all these two things, process and people, are also important, right? So with the right product, once you have the right product with you, once you have the right people, once you have the right process, all these three can help you achieve your security outcome more easily. For you, the security will be more simplified, more easy, right? From an OEM perspective, if you say our whole objective is to ensure the security is simplified to our consumers. When I say our consumers, like banks like you, right? And we closely monitor this space. So we closely monitor what RBI is saying. So recently RBI came up with technology vision for cyber security for UCBs, Urban Cooperative Bank for 2020 and 2023. So where they talked about 5 pillars like guard, they called guard, right? G for what they mention is governance, correct? And then they talk about utility technology. Then they talk about appropriate regulation and supervision. Then they talk about collaboration, robust collaboration, right? Within the bank or across the peer, right? And then last but not least, they also mention of developing the necessary IT and cybersecurity skills. So you see, all these things are covered from a RBI guideline perspective as well. So what we do is we keep a close monitor to these kind of advisories, and we'll try to tune our solutions accordingly. So if you look at solutions from Palo Alto Networks, is more to do with simplifying the security, reducing the MTD, MTTR, and enhancing the security posture, running best practices audited for firewalls, endpoint security solutions, having CSPM and CWPP and all.
Palo Alto is a global organization. Every country has different regulators. So how is it that you make it more meaningful for Indian regulatory conditions?
Yeah, typically, so we have done a significant investment in India, right? We understand that India has requested and going towards data localization very aggressively, right? So all the security offering from Palo Alto Networks has been localized.
I see.
So no data goes out of India. So any of our customer who is consuming security solution from Palo Alto Networks, no data what we collect from our customer, does not go out of Indian boundaries. Okay. So that's the kind of commitment, these large, Palo Alto has done for India, and we are developing solution around that.
Okay. Santosh, if I may come to you, and we're kind of at the end, so let's try to get the bigger picture. So pretty much I'm sure all of you will agree that the security and the cyber security within banks in India, within cooperative banks in India, is improving. But from the risk perspective, which is actually the board looks at the risk perspective, are they seeing reduction in risk as well? Is there some way they're measuring it and asking you to measure it?
Yeah, definitely, Manoj. First of all, as many of us said, there has to be an awareness that a threat exists, and then you know what are the risks associated with that threat. So now there is an awareness among staff, among people up to the board level from top to down, and wherever there are many areas where you see those, perceive those risks, and those risks are getting captured at various levels. It could be from the OEMs, it could be from threat intelligence, it could be from your security devices. So all those threats are getting a treatment, and the reduction is also happening. We see there is a trend where we are capturing those threats, and on a monthly basis we are monitoring if the threat cannot be addressed immediately, what are the mitigants or what are the controls we have put across it, so it does not result into a disaster or something which can impact the business. There is a reduction and there is a strategy behind it, how this can be handled. But as I said, more important so is the awareness about what threats we are exposed to and how to mitigate them. And that is where the focus has to be. And that comes by education and educating entire staff and awareness campaigns. So definitely there is a focused approach which bank is taking. There is a roadmap for that. And we see that it is giving positive results in terms of the threats and risks, and they're reducing every time. We are also looking at as the graded approach. I think Rohit said they're looking at level 4. And similarly, we are also looking at commercial banks where there are different prescriptions for them, but how we can look at those threats if we get into that area. So all these things are happening at various levels in various banks, and I'm sure everybody will agree that the controls are in place and the risks are reducing accordingly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to give a different perspective on risks and how much, to what extent the bank is under control?
I just want to add, for us to be successful, we have to be 100% successful, right? And for attackers, for them, even 1%, if they are successful, they are successful.
I know.
So that keeps us on our edge. That keeps us driving us, as a community, right, to fight against adversaries and making sure that the digital assets of the banks and the organization is safe and secure.
Right, that's true. Any other perspectives on risk at the CISO perspective or the board perspective, converting threats to risks and mitigating them?
To be very honest, and even as of now, all of us are now accepting that there 100% security myth, which is now accepted at all levels. So to be, instead of, it's a never-ending journey. Every day we have to, keep on improving what all controls are already in place. Keep it, keep on fine-tuning it, as Satish Lele rightly said. So existing, even as many as solutions you deploy every day, it's finding organizers are finding it insufficient. So so apart from implementing or adding solutions or controls, our first job, be it as a CISO or chief risk officer, your job is to convey the risk organization is having right now. So whether that is at acceptable level or not. So your first responsibility, because ultimate, as RBI also mandates that the ultimate risk owner in terms of cyber security lies with the board only. So they should be aware before taking any decision what all open risk organization is currently facing. So accordingly they can take the valid decisions based on the. So unless and until they are not having clear visibility in terms of what all cyber risks they are currently we are facing, there won't be there won't be able to take a right decision in terms of onboarding of solutions or developing any organization level structure or restructuring and all. So I think the transparency among the the security stakeholders and the top management should play a critical role to take the right decisions.
How far away is the day when hackers will think it's not worthwhile to attack banks because they're all too secure? Is it 1 year away, 3 years away, 5 years away, or is it never going to come? Do you guys have a view on this?
No, in that case, all security companies will have to close shop.
No, because of security companies and people like you working strongly together. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm saying threats will continue. But you guys have become so strong that the hackers start searching elsewhere for the weaker, for the low-hanging fruit. They may say it's not worthwhile to attack a bank. Let's attack a retail store or a pharma company or a textile company or whatever, or a government.
Yeah, that is hypothetical question only, but I don't think that is going to be possible. The way you are improving the security infrastructure, the same way the hackers will have their own ways to indulge in their activities. So we'll have to live with them. That's what I believe.
And
I
apart
agree
from,
with what
yeah.
Badrinath is saying. I think this is going to happen as we improve our IT systems and our security structures. In the similar manner, the hackers and crackers are going to improve their ways of penetrating into our systems.
So just to add, Manoj,
Yeah,
this is a journey. This is not a destination. So it's a journey, right? And the second thing is banks are to do with finance, right? They will be the highly targeted, from a hacker standpoint, right? Because it has to do with the money, it has to do with the finance. So these two combination is very deadly, and it is going to be like that at least for 10-15 years. It will be like that.
10-15 years.
Yes,
That's what
easily.
I'm looking for. Some kind of answer between 0 and infinity.
I feel this will be never-ending process between
absolutely
and hacker. It will be going on, keep on going on. They will be
Yeah.
improving at their side, we'll be improving at our side, and this will be continue. But there will be future where might be they will stop trying that much. Right now they are trying to attack the banks. They might be shift their aspects to some different industry rather than banking only.
Okay.
And the most critical, apart from the technology, basically among the three critical pillars, people, process, and technology. Uh, Attackers are when they are able to play with the emotions of the individuals who are mainly driving the technology. So basically, using their natural traits of the human being. It can be a fear, or it can be a greed, or simple ignorance. So these factors are more helpful for the attackers rather than the weaknesses in terms of technology lapses. So ultimately, why these lapses happens? That's because of the ignorance of the person who is managing that technology, or because of other few factors like fear and greed and all. Because why people fall prey to all these attacks are because of basically mainly three factors.
So fear and greed and all will be there for 100 years or more.
Yeah, so it's inherent. It's a part of human
no
software.
firewall against fear and greed.
No. Yes.
Right. Any other thoughts?
One thing is this is Satish Lele here. Just I want to give one input regarding the question that you asked. The important point is the technology is changing always. Okay, that is the variable factor. When your technology is changing, there are always the vulnerabilities that are inbuilt when the new technology is being introduced. When the new technology is introduced, there are a lot of variables, including the vulnerability. The classic case is Apache Log4. There are a lot of things that are coming, recent attack. Even though you are good at this particular point, your security is supposed to be reasonably strong, but the underlying technology is changing very fast, and these people are trying to exploit those things. And you can't keep the same technology forever for next couple of years. So you need to change the technology. When you go for the new technology, you need to also understand the vulnerabilities or the risk associated with that. And you need to keep on updating your security along with the changing technology also.
Right.
So it is a cat and mouse game. It is going to be there in near future. That's what I think so.
Yeah.
Correct, Satish.
Very true.
Thank you. That's also a very relevant perspective with a beautiful example, a recent example. Anyone, any last comments? I think everyone looks satisfied with the discussion. So let's officially close it here. Thank you all very much.
Insightful discussion. Thank
Very
you so
interesting
much.
perspectives, a wide variety of perspectives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us opportunity to share our views. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj, for maneuvering it beautifully.
Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.